Now that you've got a lot of the tech and the foundation in place, it's time to create the first types of audiences that I always recommend you start with. So here we go. Here's your starter pack. I like to start with these audiences because I know I'm going to use them in the account at some point. So I'd rather get them all created in the beginning than I don't have to worry about them later on. And you can add more, you can revise them afterwards as you go along. So I like to create a starter audience with all the website visitors, people who have engaged with Facebook and the Instagram pages. If there is no Instagram page, that's completely fine. We'll just stick with Facebook. Video views, then all the conversion events. So if you have leads, purchases, adds to cart, a customer and nurture list. This is when you take your email lists and you upload them into Facebook and Facebook tries to match them. And I will show you how to make sure that they're updated, whether you can do it manually. And there's also ways to do it automated so that it basically is updated in real time. And then finally, lookalike audiences. So you can create a lookalike audience from any of these audiences. I'll show you the ones that I create just in the beginning. You do not have to create a lookalike audience for every single one of these. It's an option. And I would at least start with one lookalike audience just to try it out. So let's dive right back into the ads manager so I can show you how to create each one of these. You want to go to business.facebook.com and select audiences or audience, whichever one is there for you. And you want to click the menu here and look for audiences. So here it says audiences. Also, if it's not there, then you have to kind of take a look where it is over here. It's down here under advertise for the moment. So hopefully it's easy for you to find. And if you've created 0 audiences, it's going to look something like this. So I'm going to create the website visitor one, and let's click create a custom audience. In this case, I'm going to choose website and I'm going to click next. And I always like to start with all of the website visitors. The reason is that when you create your ad, you can exclude people who purchased, or you can exclude people who opted in or registered for the webinar or add to cart or anything like that. I'd rather create a broad, all-encompassing audience, and then I can further refine it with audiences that exclude. So just make sure the correct pixel is selected, and then it already has all website visitors selected. I'm only going to use one criteria, so this doesn't matter to me about any or all. I'm just going to leave it as default. If I don't have to do extra work, I'm not going to do it. Now, retention is up to you. For a brand new account that does not have a lot of traffic, I actually start with a long window, which is 180 days. For most of the audiences, that's as far back as you can go. And the reason I do this is because you do want to make sure you have enough people in the audience. And when you're a very brand new brand and you do not have a lot of traffic that is coming to your site, then I have done very well with retention for 180 days. Once you get busier and busier, you can actually create a new website custom audience that is 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Some people even create 7 days or 5 days. But if you're not getting a lot of traffic to your site, it just doesn't make any sense. You don't want to end up with an audience of, say, 20 people. So you want to make sure, ideally, you want to make sure your audience has thousands of people in it. And as I said, I've actually done very well with 180 days, but it's up to you, and you should just experiment. And again, you know best how much traffic is coming to your site, so you can adjust it. What I would suggest is, as we create these starter audiences, just choose the same retention days. So if it's 180, just stick with 180. If it's 90, stick with 90. A lot of times you might see people teaching that, you need to create your audiences of 7 days and 14 days and 30 days and 90 days, etc. And that's not wrong. That's completely right. However, when you are starting out and you have very little traffic, you need to approach this from a different angle, because there's no point, I think, in making all these different audiences when you literally have like 2 people in that audience at any given time. what you want to do is you want to make sure that your offer is shown to as many people as possible. So let's just stick with 180 for now, and then you can refine it down. The audience name is also completely up to you. My recommendation is that you name it something that is very easy to remember and understand. So when somebody sees it, they're not going to have to guess what it means. Some people like to code things, but I don't want to have to look at something and then refer to a legend to understand what it is. So you could literally just say website visitors, and then you can put in brackets, 180 days, just to remind you, okay, this is 180 days. It'll come in really handy when you're selecting your audiences, when you're creating your ads. So again, you don't have to refer to another legend, or you don't have to guess. And I don't usually put anything in the description, again, because normally the audience name shows up when I'm choosing things for ads. And I just want to be able to go as efficiently as possible. And then you're going to just click create audience. So we can go ahead and create it here, because I'm just doing this for a test. I can always delete it. And you'll see here it says pending, and it can take a couple hours in order for it to populate. But you see here it says availability is ready. So I could put it in an ad set now. It's just going to maybe take a while before it starts delivering while it populates the audience. It usually takes a couple of hours. It could take longer than that. But just that's why I want to make sure that I have these created as well, so that from the very beginning, I've got them created. I know that Facebook is building these audiences and updating them regularly. So again, I don't have to worry. So let's go back to the next one. So we've done website visitors. Now let's do engage with Facebook and your Instagram pages. So I'm going to go back to create custom audience. I'm going to click custom audience here. And then here, whoops, let me go back. Here, I'm going to choose, let's choose Instagram account. Okay, so assuming you have an Instagram account, let's go with this one. And then, again, you're going to choose the Instagram handle. It's taking a while. Okay, I've got it up here now. And then I'm just going to leave it as everyone who's engaged. You can be more specific, and you can see here people who have visited the profile, people who have engaged with any post or ad, people who have sent a message, or people who have saved a post or ad. You can use these when you want to refine it further, but I like to start with broad, because I know that, again, when you're new, you may not have enough traffic, and you're not at this point yet where you want to refine everything. Save these for later when you are testing things more and you're getting more traffic to it. So I like to choose the broad category. As you can see here, it basically lists everything that's down here. Visited the profile, took an action, such as likes, comments, saves, etc. So that's what I want. I want people to visit it. I want people to take action. I might choose people who only engage with a post or ad at some other point, or a message, again, depending on what type of offer this is and if I think that the offer is going to match up with that behavior. But let's leave it like this for now, broad. Notice here how retention automatically goes to 365 days. So remember, the other one that we created, I had it at 180 days. So I want to keep it the same. And also for the name, let's make it really easy. So it's Instagram engagement. And if I forget what it's called, then I know I can type in Instagram, it'll pop up, and it'll probably be the only audience that pops up with that name, right? So then I'm just going to put the days in here, okay? And then we can do create audience. So now we've got another audience created. And I'm not going to do anything here. Let's just click done. Now let's do it again. And this time we're going to do the Facebook page. So again, custom audience, Facebook page, and click next. And again, make sure you have the correct page selected. And I'm going to keep it here for the exact same reason as people who engage with your page. Notice how you can also choose people who currently like or follow your page. You can't have both, it seems. So if you notice here, engage, it says people visited your page or taken action. And then up here, it says people who like or follow your page, but it does not indicate taking action. For me, I prefer to create audiences of people who've engaged with my page, because that's a stronger micro commitment than just liking or following. And that's because in my experience, when I run ads to people who like or follow a page versus engagement, I've seen a little bit better results with people who have engaged. And my theory is just that, because engaging requires another micro step, right? They're liking, they're commenting, they're saving, they're doing things like that. And it says here, carousel swipes, links, things like that. I want people like that because I want people are going to click. I want people are going to take action. Whereas if you're liking or following, it's usually a one click, and they may never ever engage with your page again because maybe they don't even see the posts in their feed. So that's just why I choose everyone who engage with your page. Of course, if you want to test all of these, please go ahead. But this is just what I start off with to keep things really simple. And again, let's match up the retention period, 180 days. And as you guessed it, I'm just going to create a very simple name. And we're done with this. Okay, next up is video views. So we've done website visitors, we've done Facebook and Instagram pages. Let's go to video views. Again, you're going to create audience and click custom audience. And this time we're going to choose video and click next. So you're going to choose which type of audience you want. And there's a number of different options here. I tend to not choose 3 or 10 seconds just because I think that I need at least 15 seconds or longer. Again, depending on the type of videos that you are uploading, you can choose whichever one you want and also whichever ones you feel like using. Just note that, if you go to 95%, that's obviously going to be a much smaller audience and you have very, very little traffic coming. That means you're going to have a very tiny audience of people who have watched 95% of your video. So if I don't know and it's brand new, I'm just going to choose through play. Again, I can always create another video view audience of say 50% or 95%. Notice here it switches to percentages. So if I am uploading a bunch of videos that are only 10 seconds long and I choose 50%, then that's people who've literally just watched 5 seconds of a video. So again, you have to keep in mind the types of videos that you do tend to upload so that you can kind of match it to whatever it is that you want. And then conversely, right, if I know that my videos are all 10 seconds long, then if I choose who have either completed or viewed at least 15 seconds of your video, they're never going to get into this audience because your video never gets to 15 seconds. So if I chose this one in that situation, then it's probably going to stay a very, very low number because all my videos are under 15 seconds. So in that case, I'd probably choose 95% or 75% even, again, because it's such a short video. So just, again, you want to think about that. It really varies depending on the account. And again, like I said, the types of videos that you're uploading. So let's just choose through play for now. And then as you can see here, it has, I want to choose it to 180 days and then audience name. So again, I'm just going to choose video views. And then I might here say through play, through play, and then 180 days. Now there's another step you need to do, and that's you need to choose the videos. So let's go there. So once you're up here, it's going to allow you to choose a Facebook page and it'll list every single page that you have access to from your business manager. So make sure you choose the correct page. And this may seem like a pain in the beginning, but there is a reason why they have us do this. So in order to include a video in this audience, I need to manually select the ones that I want included in here. I think that the reason they enable us to do this is because sometimes we actually want to create a video view audience of one video. Maybe I have a webinar that I've been using in an ad and I want to retarget everybody who's watched that webinar. Or I have a series of videos, like maybe I have 4 videos and I'm creating a more complex ad sequence where people who've watched 75% of video 1, then they're going to get another video. They're going to get video 2. And then once they've watched 75% of video 2, then they're going to be served up with ads for video 3, etc. In that case, I'm only selecting one video for this audience and I'm clicking confirm. However, in this case, I want to create a broad audience. Again, this is just to start off with. So what happens is every time you add a new video, you are going to have to come back in here and you are going to have to click on it. So what'll happen is like, okay, so I'm clicking here, and then I want to see if there's another page, and I'm going to click. Okay, so I'm clicking all of those there. What you'll find happens is after, you've uploaded more videos, you'll come back in here to edit the audience, and you'll notice that some of them are unchecked, and then as you go to the older pages, some of them are checked. So you'll want to update this audience by checking off each one. You can also choose to include videos from the Instagram business profile if there's one connected to the account. Also campaigns. If you have ad campaigns that videos have been put in, you can do that. It does have an option for video ID, but I personally have found that this doesn't work very well. Give it a try and see if it works for you, but it has never worked for me. So I just stick with these three here to make sure that I've covered all of the videos. And then you can click confirm. And what it will do is it will update it as more and more people watch the videos. So hopefully here you can start to get a little bit of an idea of how we could use this, right? Because you could create video view ads to send people to the videos in order to drive up the video views and then retarget using this custom audience. So let's just create audience here. So now we've got video views. And again, I'm just going to click done. The next one are the conversion event audiences. So let's just pretend we have an audience that is for purchasers. So let's create our buyer's audience. So we're going to go to create audience. And the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to create an audience from the conversion events that we've created. So I'm going to click website and then I'm going to click next. Now under here, where it says all website visitors, I'm going to pull this down and there are a couple different options here. There's one that's visitors by time spent. Again, that's another really interesting audience you may want to create. Maybe at some point you want to create everybody who's visited and spent more than 50% of their, like a certain amount of time. So if you can see, I click here and it says percentile, 5, 10, or 25%. So I can choose that as well and add that on as a criteria. Remember here, it says any or all. So I could do all and make sure that I include this as well. And again, you have your retention here. So that's a really interesting audience. But the one I want is people who visited specific web pages. And again, you can choose retention. I'm just going to pick 180 here because I'm setting this up as if this was a brand new account. So here, notice how it's grayed out. It says URL. I can't choose anything else. URL contains or doesn't contains or equals. This is where you would put, the URL that the people land on after they purchase. So maybe it's thank you confirmation of purchase. Maybe on all of my confirmation pages of purchase, I have this phrase in every single one of them. So if I know that any website page that has this little snippet in the URL, I know that means somebody actually bought something. So I could create it like this. Another way I can create it, because I actually prefer not to tie myself to a URL, I would rather say, hey, anybody who has completed a purchase event, I want you to add them to this audience. They will show up here probably after a day. So after you've created the conversion event purchase, you want to make sure that you fire that, right? So it's active. And then what you'll find is it could take a day, maybe 2 days for it to literally show up here. I just find it doesn't show up right away. It usually needs some time after it's been activated. If you still don't see it here, you need to go check and see if your conversion events have been activated and are showing as green. Once that's the case, then you can pull this down and you'll see that you can choose conversion events from there. Here's an example of one that has several different conversion events already activated. So notice how I choose here under all website visitors and I pull it down. Remember in the other screen, it only had these, I picked visited specific web pages and then it just had URL here. But now when I go over here, notice how it says from your events. So see here, I have several different ones here and I have purchased because it has fired at some point. So now I can say purchase events and I can put the retention in. And here, again, it's up to you what you want. Maybe you want 30 days. It again depends on the business model and what your purpose is in running the ads. What's nice about this is you're not tied to any one URL. So maybe you have a Shopify store and there are many different confirmation pages depending on what people buy. Or maybe you are selling info products or coaching, or you're selling books and things like that. And again, you have different URLs that people land on whenever somebody buys. I would rather, again, make my life simple, have a custom audience made of people who have completed this event rather than having to go in and worry about creating more and more more conversions events with very specific URLs and audiences related to this. This way, this covers all of them. If I have 50 different pages where different people will land on depending on what they purchase, I know that they're all going to be covered here. Okay. And again, you want to make sure that you name your audience name. So I might call it something like buyers or purchase pixel, and then again, put your retention days there. And then I would do this for leads, for complete registration, for any of the custom or the other conversion events that you've created. That way you've got an audience of buyers, you've got an audience of leads, you've got an audience of webinar registrants. So you can do that because you might want to include them or you might want to exclude them from ads. That's why it's important just to create them all here. So let's go to one that is a customer list. So we're going to do create audience and click custom audience. And this time we're going to click customer list. And then we're going to go next. And here it actually guides you through everything that you need to do. So you can see here they do have an integration with MailChimp to make it really easy for you. If you need to have a template in order to see where you need to put the information in an Excel template, you can click here and you'll download it. So I just click next over here. Now it is going to ask you if you have your customer value. That is the lifetime value of the customer. So that's how much the customer has spent over their lifetime. And that's usually in one column. Now you may not have it, and that's totally fine. If you do have it, I would include it because it helps Facebook find better quality people for you. Because if you create a lookalike from this, then it's going to find people who, make sure that it's people who have characteristics of people who have purchased like a higher amount with you, for example. Or you can just click no. And again, like I said, that's totally fine too. And then here's where you can upload the list. Again, it's got another button here to download the file template. Or you can just paste in the information that you want here. And for example, let's just do, I'm just going to put in an email address here. Okay, so then I'm going to click next. And notice here, it actually asks me to map them over. So in this case, again, for just the sake of this example, I just pasted one email address in here and I can indicate, okay, that's email. You can see they have a lot of other things here that you can actually choose from if you have that information, so you can map it over. If there are some that they're not sure, they couldn't recognize it, then it'll show up in this tab and you can choose what it is. Like, oh, these are phone numbers. Oh, this is zip and postal codes, etc. Okay. And then you can click import and create. I'm not going to do that here, and then I'll just confirm it and it's done. Now, after you create a custom audience like this, by the way, you can connect it to Zapier, or depending on what your CRM system is, some of them have direct integrations with Facebook, meaning once you create this custom audience, you can then hook it up to your CRM or use Zapier to say, hey, every time there's been a change on here, please make sure you update the Facebook custom audience. So if this is my audience of buyers, I could connect it to, for example, ActiveCampaign, which is a marketing automation solution. And I could tell ActiveCampaign, hey, every time somebody buys something, please add them to this list in Facebook automatically. This way, this gets updated pretty much in real time. Another way to do this is you can just update it manually. And then finally, the lookalike audiences. So for that, you just go to create audience and choose lookalike audience. And then from here, you can select whichever source you wanted to. So maybe it's, the leads or the purchasers, etc. So whichever one you want, and then choose the region that you want. You can add in more than one. So for example, maybe you want United States and Canada and United Kingdom. And then from here, you can choose what percentage you want. So the theory is that the lower the percentage, the better quality the audience is. I would, test it out to see what you want to do. I recently was talking to a rep that has worked at Facebook for about a decade, and she was recommending to me that I create 1% to 3% audiences, just because at the time of this filming, Facebook does like broader audiences. So this is going to give you a bigger audience, but you can definitely start off with just the 1% as well. So I would either start with a 1% or start with 1 to 3%. You can create more than one as well at the same time. So for example, here you notice it created another little jump here. Like I could do this, so it have a 1% and then it would also create a 1 to 3% for me, and you can create more after that. And as the source file, so for example, if the source file is your buyers and that gets updated, then the lookalike audience will update as well. What Facebook is really doing is it's taking all of the data it knows about people, and we're telling it, hey, out of all the information that you know, can you please go find people who have the similar characteristics as the people in my source file? So I always recommend that you start with the buyers list if you have one. If you don't have one, you can create one once you start to have buyers. But I think that if I had to choose, I would want Facebook to make a lookalike audience of literally, the best possible audience. So that's, those are my buyers, right? And if I have buyers with lifetime value, wow, I would want a lookalike audience of that. You can choose to test other ones, like maybe you want to create a lookalike audience of website visitors or people who engage with a Facebook page. Again, just to see how that works. But I think I want to start off with the highest intent one, which is purchase. You may want to do leads. If you do a lot of webinar advertising, you may want to do, complete registration and do a lookalike of that. It's completely up to you. There's a lot of things you can test. I just like to keep it really simple. So if you have buyers, go ahead and do that. If you have your email list of people who have already opted in, you could create a lookalike of that audience, for example. So it's up to you what you want to do. It's just, I like to create them so at least they're there and then I could use it. By the way, an advanced tip is what some people do is they'll create brand new lookalikes basically to refresh them. It's not really needed, but sometimes it just seems to help. So I might have a lookalike audience I've had for a while, and if it's just not working for me anymore, I might come back in here and just recreate the exact same lookalike audience and then use that one in a future campaign. It's just something to test when things aren't going the way that you expect. Okay, but that is all the audiences that I start with. And it gives me a really robust starter pack of audiences that will just start to grow as things move along. And if you are working with clients, I include this in the list of and let the clients know these are the custom audiences that I'm creating. And also that, if when I'm starting with something, this is what I just go, hey, when I'm setting up everything, I include these audiences. And if you have somebody working for you, this is something that they're going to do. And then remember to schedule a task for yourself or somebody on your team to update that video view audience so that you're not getting all this traffic to your videos and getting people watching your videos. And then your video view audience just doesn't get updated simply because you didn't select some of the newer videos that you're using. So those are the audiences that you can start off with. Congratulations, you have come to the end of creating your foundation. Please do not go to the next modules until you've completed your foundation, because this way you're going to be able to dive in and start creating ads, and you would have minimized the amount of problems that you are going to run into. And this is something that I still use to this day. I go through these steps to make sure that the foundation is strong when I'm taking over an account, when to manage if I am creating a brand new account from scratch. So make sure that you bookmark this to come back over and over and over again so that it becomes a habit that you're going to create this strong foundation. This way, as I mentioned, you're going to minimize problems going forward, and it's just going to make your life so much easier. This is all done, and it's all just a matter of updating things, tweaking things, maybe adding more things on top of it later to test. But at least you've got a very strong core foundation in place, and you are ready to start creating campaigns and running ads and seeing results. So I will see you in the next module.